Welcome back to another episode of the Smash Property Podcast. I'm Nick V, this is Akira, and this is episode number 10 of the Smash Property Podcast. And like I was just saying, I think there's about 90% or 99% of podcasts don't make it to 10 episodes. We have done that. We have defeated most people. No.
Yeah. we can pop a bottle.
Well, not that we do that a lot, but we can.
Yeah. Something to celebrate.
Something to celebrate. I've had a ball doing this. I don't know about you.
I love it.
It's been really cool.
I actually am very nervous on camera when we first started, but I feel like you make it easy. You make it really enjoyable and fun.
Thank you. So we have just got back from Brisbane and Bundaberg. We were going to film a potty up there, but we ran out of time looking at properties for our clients, looking at properties, just in general. Whirlwind trip. What did you think of Brisbane and Bundaberg?
Loved it. Both of it. Got to celebrate my birthday up there, which was amazing. Thanks to you.
Yes.
But it was really fun to be able to just be on the road, get to see all the different pockets again, obviously up in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Bundy was amazing. I feel like most things in life, you think it's one thing, then you go there and you realize how incredible the country is. And there's so many different things with infrastructure going on. So that was super cool.
Yeah, no, I love Bundy. Sort of threw me back to my days in country Victoria.
Yeah, you're a country boy.
Living in the countryside, I do miss it. It is a beautiful
you notice the energy there is so different. The people, the vibration, it's beautiful.
Yeah. No, I love the people,
cool.
and I love Queenslanders. We had some good times up there. So, and now we're back, and we've got another little trip planned in the next little while, in the next couple of days.
So not even.
Smashing out episode number 10, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about the pre-purchase jitters.
That's right.
So, explain to us what that is.
Pre-purchase jitters. It's like the cold feet, I guess. It's like when you're trying to find a property, you found it, ready to sign that contract, but then you're like, should I do this?
All of these like thoughts and feelings
voices
come rushing in, being like, did I buy the right thing? Did I pay the right price? Have I got the right area? All of these things. I thought it was just me, because every single property I've bought up until recently, even now, I get those feelings. Did I overpay? Did I buy the right thing? Blah, 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 blah.
You get in your head.
But it's a very normal thing. I mean, not until we started talking about it, and also talking about it with some of my mates, it's like everyone goes through that.
Yeah.
So I think we want to kind of uncover,
let's address it.
Address it. It is normal. We'll go through some things you can do to help you through those moments and those feelings. For me, first things first, staying focused on the bigger picture, focused on the goal. Now, I'm naturally a very bigger picture kind of person. I focus on the
You're an operator.
the outcome that we're looking to drive, which is a great thing, because I don't get too bogged down too much in a lot of the smaller, finer detail that can really stop some people in their tracks.
It hinders you. Yeah.
It hinders you. They don't call it analysis paralysis for a reason, right? Like it stops a lot of people from getting in, even putting down offers. You don't put them down because you're like, fuck, I don't know
what's right. You don't know how to analyze it. Yeah. Pull the trigger, basically.
Exactly. So I think if you've signed a contract and you're, in the process and you're getting nervous and you're like, did I do the right thing? Just pull yourself back, focus on the bigger picture. Easier said than done, but I think a good starting point.
Maybe insight to what I do. I basically write down my goal before I do anything with a big decision. Like I put it down on a piece of paper and set myself a timeline. I've always done that in my life. I think you do too, which is super cool. And I'm glad to be able to share that. But when you are writing down your goals and your timeline, those types of things, you've solidified it. You know that you've made an agreement with yourself. So then when you're actually in the process of doing something, you can then refer back to that page where you've written it down and, rationalize your decision and have comfort with what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. I mean, I've had some goals that I've written down 3 years ago that really only came to fruition this year. So that stuff definitely works. So I think, bigger picture is a great place to kind of start with.
Definitely.
Now let's kind of dive into, you've got the, your offer's about to go in or your offer's gone in, right? There are some clauses that you should be putting in naturally with every single offer. Those being,
you want to share that?
Your building and pest inspection. Now, generally it's 14 days. You've got to do that. There's also a finance clause, which you put in, 14 to 21 days to get the finance sorted. All right.
Yeah.
So those are two always essentials that you should be putting in as, a novice investor always, right?
Agree. Also, might just, sorry to stop you, but I think I might just point out, a lot of people don't know that they need to have pre-approval before they sign a contract.
Yeah, which kind of dumbfounds me, but yes, you have to have some kind of a bank's going to lend you the money.
Yeah.
The amount of deals that we've seen fall apart, not with us, but from agents calling us saying, "Hey, the deal's back on," because the person who put in the offer didn't even have pre-approval, which is just terrible. So
know your clauses, and that's going to give you comfort with making the decision as well.
And also, you've got your two building and pest finance, but each state has their own, like for example, Queensland has a cooling off period.
Yeah, that's super important to note.
That's something that you need to know state by state because WA doesn't have a cooling off period.
For an example. Exactly.
Right? You can still get out of a contract in WA if finance falls through and you can get your deposit back. But other than that, you ain't getting out of it without losing your money.
Yeah. And I think fair to say it's important to understand as well, like there's two sides to everything. Yes, you want to get into the market. Yes, you want to pull the trigger. But if you're someone who's been flaky and putting in offers left, right and center, but no real honest intent to purchase the property, you're wasting the seller's time.
You're just wasting your own time, really.
Yeah. Those
types of day.
Yeah, those circumstances are frustrating. So don't be that person.
Yeah. And also don't be that person that just puts in all of these weird clauses like, we hear a lot because we speak with sales agents all the time, and just the amount of clauses that you can put in there really can turn a seller off.
Yeah.
And you can really crash a deal before it even gets started, right?
Just for doing, unnecessary.
So yes, you've got to protect yourself. But at the same time, like if you really want to get the deal done, you're going to have less clauses as possible. Like I know some serious investors that they don't even do building and pest clauses anymore.
Exactly.
Because they just want to get the deal as quickly as they can.
Yeah.
They're putting in cash offers and they just snatch up the deal.
Exactly. You got to be in it to win it.
You got to be in it to win it. Yeah. So I think other than bigger picture goal, focus on what are the clauses, what is each state, what can you and can't you do for each state? Because it's going to vary slightly. All right. Mm-hmm. When we sort of go a little bit further down the road is we talk about this all the time. Let the numbers do the talking. Know what the numbers are. And what do we mean by that?
So basically, I think running the numbers is knowing your current circumstance for cash flow based on the offer that you place in. Secondly, know that growth potential in that specific pocket that you're buying in.
Super important.
If you know those two things, if you're paying 5K more than what, you thought you should be paying, which is not based on anything sometimes from some people, then if you look at that growth projection rather, that's going to be 50K in a few years potentially. So it's leveraging, okay, what's 5K really worth today based on what the actual intent of buying the property is. I hope I kind of summarized that right.
Yeah, so let me kind of pull that out a little bit. So cash flow, yes, mortgage is going to be a big thing, right? But that's not it. You've got a property manager, you've got council rates, you've got insurance. You may or may not have body corporate depending on what property you're buying.
That's right.
You're going to have utilities that you're going to need to pay. Those things you need to calculate before you actually get into a deal. So work that out. It's really not hard. You can get all that information from the sales agent. So know that the property is going to cost you money. Understand, can you handle that?
Yeah.
Is it positive? Is it negative? How if negative, how much can you handle that?
Yeah, know your average cash flow.
Right.
I'd say.
And then what you were talking about is the growth, because a lot of people that we speak to, right, they get caught up, this property is going to cost me 10 grand a year. And it's like, yes, it is, but you're going to get 50 grand a year in growth this next 12 months.
Yes.
So you're actually ahead 40 grand.
Yeah.
So put those numbers into perspective before you even put the offer down.
And who can, there's different types of income, but saving 40 grand passively in equity, you're laughing.
Yeah, good luck. It's just, next to impossible to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let the numbers do the talking. So now we're really getting into
confidence.
The emotional side is something that each individual is going to have to deal with in their own right. But then the analytical side of your brain should go, all right, we've got clauses to protect us. We looked at the numbers to make sure that the numbers work for us when we're getting into this deal.
Yeah.
Now, the overpaying feeling, I think this is a really, really common thing among most people, just in general, not just with property investors, but like you buy an iPad, you're like, oh, could I have got, a cheaper deal at this shop instead of that shop, or whatever, buy this item of clothing. Could I have got a better deal here? It's just, I think, a natural thing as humans, right? We want to get the best outcome.
I think analyzing it just firsthand, I think it happened like in the last week or so with the client. We were securing the deal under market value at that as well. But it's funny, you then jump on realestate.com on that same day and you see properties at a lower value, but it's asking offers over. So it's often understanding, you might be securing your deal, but if you go and look elsewhere, you're obviously going to see things cheaper online.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's the same comparable.
It's not comparable. And that's actually a very good point. Let's talk a little bit about that, because how do you know that you're not overpaying for a property?
You tell me.
Which is a really difficult thing. I think it was. There's been quite a few deals actually where, we might secure a deal off market, as we generally do for our clients, and they'll come back and be like, oh well, this property here is they're asking 10, 20 grand less than what we're paying, and that's like, okay, well that's fair. All right, let's look at that a little bit. Is it comparable in the sense of the configuration of the property?
Yep.
Right. Two bedrooms, two bedrooms, for example, two bathrooms or one bathroom. Mm-hmm. Car spot, no car spot.
Yeah.
Is it renovated? Is it unrenovated?
That's right.
Is it in this part of the suburb, or is it in the the lesser worst part of the suburb? We have to compare apples with apples when we're looking at putting our offers down.
100%.
Okay? So that's when you're looking at properties on the market. Now, this whole offers over thing, it's just plain and simple. It's marketing for the sales agents to gather most interest as possible to get the best outcome for their client, right?
Yes.
So they're going to put it, offers over is generally going to be, at a great, because it's supposed to capture your attention. Wow, offers over, 400.
That means it's only going to be 400.
No. So, you know what I mean? So just got to put that in perspective.
Maybe we can use an example, maybe just to make it as clear as possible. I think a couple of weeks ago we had a deal that we looked at. I think it was advertising for 380 roughly.
I don't know which WA?
Victoria Park. It sold for 490.
Correct. Yeah. Well, no, it was offers over 399.
380.
380. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
that's a massive difference from offers. It's not in the same range at all.
No, exactly. But so we were actually at that open home, and that was where there was like literally 30, probably even 50 people lined up to go into that property, because it was priced competitively to gather the interest, and then it pushed up the price for the seller.
Yeah, it's actually
great
very
outcome
smart
for the seller. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very common sales tactic across most states. They kind of tend to do that. So that overpaying feeling, comparing apples with apples with what's on market right now. But I think also what some investors do, they look at recent sales. Now, recent sales is a great indicator to see how a particular area in a market is performing.
That's right.
But if you're buying in a hot market, a comparable sale from 3 or 6 months ago is basically irrelevant.
Yeah, it doesn't make.
You can't go, well, this property sold 3 months ago for 400, and why is this now 600? It's like, well, buddy, that's where the market's gone. All right? Yeah. So, use it as an indicator, but don't use it as a that's got to be the price that I've got to get. The defining
point. And I think it's also coming down to weighing up the pros and cons of the deal and making sure that there is obviously more pros on your list. Yeah. And then I think also knowing that you're going to have to compromise.
Yeah.
Being able to make a decision in most circumstances, know what your make and breaks are in the decision, but understand that there is a compromise somewhere if you want to make it happen.
And do you want to get into the market or not? I've said,
baby.
I've said this before, right? Yes, you want to get the best price. You want to buy below market value, and that's great, right? I'm at the point now in my portfolio where I don't really give a shit about below market value. I just give a shit about being in the market. So I'm happy to pay 5, 10, 20 grand over market so I get the property, because I know I'm buying in areas where that 10, 20 grand is going to be irrelevant in the long term.
That's right. And it's not coming from maybe a egotistical point of view. It's just knowing that time in property is money.
Yeah.
The more time you waste every single week, you are out of it.
Yeah.
And so if you don't understand that and you're trying to shop around, 1 week quickly turns into 6 months when you're in property.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, there's been quite a few investors that I've known where, they're hunting for a deal. They want to get, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand under market val. 6 months later, they're still looking for that deal. And if they just had it bought at that time at the current market value, they would have made 50, 60 grand anyway.
It's so frustrating because then you look at it from 6 months ago and the prices have moved. So you keep pushing yourself out.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think, look, I'm saying that from the perspective of being in the market for a very long time, having bought, tons of properties for myself and clients over the years, and just having that perspective. But if you're a brand new investor, this is your first property, like, yes, obviously you want to get the best price for yourself. And ideally, yes, you want to be buying below market value.
Definitely.
So you want to be putting yourself in that position. But just what we're saying is don't wait, it's 6 to 12 months to find the right deal.
Yeah.
Because you're going to price yourself out of the market.
Especially if the amount for what you're, paying for the deal is now like a couple thousand. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's coming down to a couple of grand, just buy the thing.
Do it.
It's
just
not going to make much of a difference. And the last kind of point that I had here was gut feel. I'm a big proponent of going with your gut feel with anything in life. But you have to be in tune with yourself to be able to go with your gut feel.
That's true.
Which is really important because there's been a lot of investors, and I know there's a mate of mine who his gut feel would be like, oh, nah, this is not the right thing to do, when that's, just his risk perspective kind of overshadowing the rational and analytical side of making the decision. So you've got to be in tune with yourself. And if you know that you're going to talk yourself out of stuff, know that. Yeah. And just go, hang on, am I just like trying to talk myself out of this? Or is, something to do with the clauses or the numbers or the whatever not working?
Yeah. I agree with that. Your higher perspective and your higher person needs to understand that there is going to be plenty of things to tell you don't do it. Yeah. Maybe I can use a metaphor or like a, I don't know, what's the word?
Analogy.
Yes, that's the one I was looking for. It's like going to the gym, right? Most people, at least for me, before I exercise, I'm always like, oh, I really don't want to do this. I don't feel like doing this. Even though I told myself that morning, you need to do it. So it's one of those things. You're going to tell yourself, don't do it just before you do it all the time with these types of things, these decisions, especially the ones that make you better. Yeah. So it's overcoming that and pushing through those little voices and just being like, nah, I'm just going to do this. Yeah. I know it's what I want. I know it's the decision I made, and focus on that. Because if you do that, then just like when you exercise, once you're in it and you start going through the motions, getting like your sweat on, you start enjoying it. Yeah. And it quickly evolves from there and compounds.
It does. It's a really good analogy. And I think, just further to that, it's like the same thing with going to the gym, right? Like you're not going to see the results that you want the next day or the next week or maybe even the next month. But if you're consistently doing the gym, going to the gym, showing up, putting in the work, over a period of time, you'll start to see results. Yeah. It's literally the same thing with property. You're not going to see the results the next day, but over a consistent period of time, you're then going to start to see, hang on, I just made 50 grand last year from the growth of that property. And then 5 years later, you're like, I just made 300 grand. What's going on here? Like, that's how property works. So it's like, that's why we're saying, like, don't get too bogged down with the 5, 10, 20 grand now. Obviously, yes, you've got to be buying the right markets and all these sorts of things. But when you look at the bigger picture, it's like over the long term, you're going to make so much cash out of it that 5, 10, 20 grand, literally it's peanuts in the grand scheme of things.
100%.
And it's not to say that, we don't value money, but just with property, the scale of money really changes, or the scale of value really changes.
Value is the word I would use, 100%. Yeah,
exactly. The scale of value changes, more so relative to other things in life.
So I guess in a nutshell, just to summarize, it's about the focus. What is the overarching reason that you're doing it? So then that way, if you do have these negative thoughts, you can kind of put yourself in a position to say, all right, is this just me being negative, or is it like honestly a gut feeling where you think it's the wrong deal? Yep. I think most importantly, know your clauses to protect yourself. Yeah. And then lastly, let the numbers do the talking.
Let the numbers do the talking. Don't be a negative Nancy when it comes to when it comes to property. And like, just talk to people, like, talk to investors, like, just DM investors on Instagram. Like, you DM us. I'll say hello to you. Like, because you'll often find like, I don't know, like attracts like. And I think if you're, you want to get into the market, like, you can do it. Put yourself out there, speak with people, go to conferences and stuff that we've done.
Next episode, I'm going to talk to you about your journey. Because if you could do it, honestly, I think anyone can.
What are you saying? No,
no.
Honestly.
I mean that in the nicest way. And like the same thing for myself as well.
Yeah. And I think the coolest thing about property is you don't need to have a fucking degree or you don't need to be highly educated. You don't need
into that. Yeah.
You don't need to have any of that.
Save that for our next podcast.
Yeah, we'll get into that, and I'll share a little bit about my journey to this particular point, which I'm actually excited for.
I want to do that with you.
It's gonna be pretty cool. So
cool.
That's it for episode number 10 of the Smash Property Podcast. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Week. Stay tuned. Next week we will be actually the next podcast. The next filming that we're going to do is going to be in a pretty cool location. We said that last time, so maybe I won't G it up too much, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be epic location.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for tuning in to these 10 episodes of the Smash Property Podcast. I'm Nick V. This is Akira. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, take care. We'll catch you soon.
Thank you.